Good evening, Year 11. Welcome to your night before news for your maths paper 1 in your November mocks, and this is the foundation version of that night before news. So, one of the key questions, I'm sure lots of you are thinking, is what's going to be in this non-calculator exam tomorrow. Now, we don't know what's going to be in this exam, but because it's non-calculator, there are a few things we can take a really good guess as that are going to be in that exam. So things which are going to be extremely likely are those skills that require non-calculator skills. Things like fractions and decimals, really likely to be in paper 1 because they're less likely to be in your calculator paper if it wants you to show you can do it. So fractions and decimals are an extremely likely skill that are going to be in paper 1. Estimation is another one that's very likely in paper 1, as are unit conversions. There's probably going to be some sort of algebra, hard to know what, because algebra could be calculator or non-calculator, could see speed, distance, time. More than likely you're going to see some sort of arithmetic question where you need to add values of money, take them away, divide. Could see more things linking to fractions, whether that's fractions of amounts. Could be a question linking fractions, percentages and ratios. Could see some exact trigonometric values. I imagine most of us haven't seen those. Don't worry if you haven't seen those. If it asks you to write down, for example, the value of sine 30, I would just write a half. So if there's a question involving something you've never seen before, it uses the word sin, cos or tan, just write down a half, it could be correct. Could see some proportion skills, something to do with a recipe or a best buy. As I say, the key thing about the non-calculator paper is we're going to see fractions and decimals because they're not going to be in the calculator paper. You could also see lots of these things here which are common non-calculator topics, converting fractions, decimals and percentages in your first 5 questions, something to do with sequences, maybe something to do with angles. It's also possible that we could have some of these things. As I say, it's a really hard thing to say that this is definitely going to be in your exam, but these are possible topics that could come up. If I was thinking about doing revision tonight, I'd go back to the last slide, look at the extremely likely topics and pick one of those if I'm not confident about those. If you're confident about those, these are some other things that could be in a non-calculator paper, but we just don't know. But these are your really common exam topics. So it could be there in paper 1, 2 or 3. So revising them will help you. For non-calculator specifically, really focus on fractions and decimals if you know that's something you're not sure about. How can you revise these topics? So it could be you want to do some individual topics. You might go, I'm not sure about dividing fractions, so I'm going to go look at dividing fractions. What can you do? Well, you could go to Sparks. When you go to Sparks, choose independent learning, open it up and search in that bar and look for dividing fractions. It will give you lots of questions that you can practice on that skill. That independent practice of that skill is going to be really important. It could be that you go to a website called ExamQ, and if you open up ExamQ, it looks like this. You have these drop-down options at the top of the page. Make sure you choose Foundation in this first box, make sure you choose Paper 1 in this second box, and then you can search in this third box for a particular topic. So it could be you just put fractions in there, and look at all the different fractions questions that could come up in paper 1. It could be you don't know what to revise tonight and you don't put anything in that third box, but you can then just see all the different types of non-calculator questions that have come up previously, which might then be really useful for you to think about. When you go onto ExamQ, you get the question and you get the mark scheme, so you can see exactly what answers examiners are looking for. The other place you could go is a website called Maths Genie. On here, you need to choose the GCSE revision at the top, and it will take you to a page where there are lots of topics that you could choose. It doesn't by grade, so it could be you know you're looking to get a grade 4 in this mock exam, so you go to the grade 4 section, you look at some of those things because that's what you want to revise. It could be you know actually you're not very strong on unit conversions, so you're going to find the unit conversions questions and answer lots of those. And here there are lots of questions for you to practice again and again and again. ExamQ might give you just one question on a topic, Maths Genie will give you lots of questions on that topic. It could be you're thinking, oh, I don't know what individual topic to revise, I just want to revise a paper, I want to know what it's going to feel like when I'm in that exam tomorrow. If you want to do a practice paper, again, Maths Genie has a big bank of these. If you go to Maths Genie, instead of clicking on revision, you go to GCSE papers, make sure you choose Edexcel, that's the exam board we do. Tomorrow morning, you have the opportunity to come in and get help with even more questions. So tomorrow morning, the hub will be open from 7 o'clock. Once we've been in the hub from 7 o'clock, you'll then go to the conservatory where you'll get a revision map that looks like this. There are 2 pieces of advice I'll give you tomorrow morning. The first is, depending on however much revision you've done, make sure you bring, if you come to the hub before 8 o'clock, some questions that you don't know how to do. It feels great on the morning of the exam to sit there and do loads of questions that you know how to do and have loads of success. But that's not going to help you as much as bringing a question you are stuck on and learning how to answer it. If you're stuck on the question the night before and you don't get help with it on the morning of the exam and it's in your paper, you're going to be really annoyed, sat there thinking, oh, I wish I'd asked for help. So bring some questions you don't know how to do. Similarly, when you're using this revision mat, when we're in the conservatory, don't just use it at the time to sit there and talk to your friends. Pick up a revision mat, find a question you don't know how to do and ask for help. There'll be maths teachers walking around. This is your last chance to pick up some marks on that exam. Some people will come in the morning of the exam and be able to help themselves to an extra 5 marks, if not slightly more, because they'll come in well prepared with questions they can't do and they'll get help on those. Be one of those people who's going to make the most of that time to get as many marks as possible. When you're in the actual exam, just a few bits of final advice for you to think about when you're going through. First of all, attempt every question. Even if you are not sure what to do, pick a couple of numbers from the question, add them together. You see a fraction, you see a number, can you find a fraction of an amount? Don't leave anything blank. A blank answer guarantees you 0 marks. Reading the last line of the question before you move on is so important. Is it a fraction question where they want it simplified? Is it a ratio question and they want you to write your final answer as a ratio? Is it a question where you need to do one final step? Do you need to write yes, or do you need to write I agree? Do you need to write this person's wrong? Because all of those things can lose you 1 mark, and you might just think 1 mark doesn't matter, but 1 mark can be the difference between a grade 3 and a grade 4, or a grade 4 and a grade 5. So read the last line of every question before you move on. Have you answered it? Think about sensible answers. If you're doing a money problem and you end up with more money than you started with and you're buying things, does that make sense? If you're doing a speed question, you end up with an answer that suggests someone can run 900 miles in 10 minutes. Clearly that's not going to be correct, so think about sensible answers as you're going through. Check your answers where possible. Reattempt all of your calculations. If you've done 1 bus stop division, do it again to make sure it's correct. If you've listed some times tables, just make sure you've done it correctly. Don't lose marks because you've made little arithmetic mistakes. Go back and double check all of your answers, reattempt your questions, and make sure you use all of your time. Don't sit there 60 minutes into the 90-minute exam with your arms folded because you're finished. Go back through, reread the last line of questions, check all of your answers. Are they sensible? Have you done your times tables correctly? Are all of your bus stops correct? Because that can make such a difference to your final score and your final mark. Good luck, Year 11. Use this video, go back through, look at those topics, bring something with you tomorrow morning that you need help on so that you can smash this first exam.